Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Diehard Football Podcast here on Coast to Coast. I'm joined by Dirk and Big B. How you guys doing today?
What's up?
Going good.
Like the young people do.
Yeah.
Right? That's right.
Like that, right?
There's a lot of topics here today. We have one, I think that happened at the beginning of the week, was the Julio Jones new deal with Tennessee. What do you guys think of that?
Good for Tennessee.
Yeah.
My thing, Julio Jones, he's got, easy Hall of Famer. He's a veteran. Doesn't really look like he's slowing down. He's like 30 years old, 31. Bad for Matty Ice there in Atlanta, but he does have Ridgely. But for Tennessee, Tannehill, he's a quarterback, right?
Nope.
Yeah. Well,
who is it?
Tannehill.
Yeah, it's Tannehill.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think Tannehill is a very good quarterback. He's a little above average, in my opinion. I think you bring in a big-time wide receiver in Julio Jones, and then they got Derrick Henry. It makes them a viable team. They should win the division. Their defense is fairly good. I only see positives for that for Tennessee. We'll just have to see how that plays out. But Julio Jones, top 10 in the league is receiver. A couple of years ago, he might have been, you would say, top 1 or 2, maybe 3.
Yep.
But he hasn't really lost a step. It's just that other young guys have come up that are just awesome,
Yeah. What do you think, Big B?
I think for what Atlanta got for him, I think there's probably about 29 teams that are kicking themselves if they didn't make the offer.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause everybody was expecting a number one or a couple number ones, and to go for what, a second and a fourth?
Yeah, that was
in the upcoming years. I mean, there's definitely a lot of teams that are kicking themselves. I think what scared them was the salary cap hit. But Dirk, you said it perfectly. I mean, Tennessee's probably the front runner for that division. Gives them another weapon. If Henry stays healthy and the other receivers stay healthy, all Tannehill has to do is, kind of do what Kyle Orton did in Denver and just manage the game. That's all he's got to do. He doesn't have to make costly mistakes. He doesn't have to take the throws, those high-risk throws. He just has to manage the game. They're going to be good. On the Atlanta side, I think they got robbed. I mean, they should be calling the cops, and because they should have got more for that. Like you said, Matty Ice. I think if I was him, I'd probably be thinking about looking elsewhere, because he's only got a couple more years left too.
Yeah.
But
he's still.
They're definitely in a rebuild mode.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, do you think Atlanta got desperate? Which it sounds like that to me.
Yeah.
For what they took, I mean, really, Julio Jones. Maybe next year's number 1 or in 2 years.
Yeah,
should have been a number.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you're right. It's like they took the first phone call that came in and said a second and a fourth. Okay, we'll do that. It didn't seem like there was much negotiating going on. I don't know. Maybe if they were worried about he was gonna do a Aaron Rodgers and sit out for a while, or but yeah, I would say they got kind of. I think they got kind of
scared early.
Yeah, scared early. That's what I was thinking.
I mean,
he's a good character guy too. Good locker room. You never gets in trouble. Good dude. As far as we know.
Well, I mean, I think I heard too that they've been planning this for like 2 years. The Falcons have. They've been wanting to trade him for 2 years, and they haven't found anything. But once he went on Undisputed and he had that phone call, and I mean, I know he probably didn't know, but the Falcons didn't like that, and I think that's what made him pull the trigger.
Yeah, what about that? I mean, the whole what was it, Sharp that did it to him?
Yeah, Shannon Sharp.
That,
You
I
caught him
mean,
on.
think about the credibility that he has now. You know, because the reporters have to earn these guys' trust that they're not going to break news or they're not going to falsify stuff. And for him to put him on live air, and say that he wants out, I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of risky on Sharp's career there. So
Mhm.
I'd like to, kind of know what the relationship is going to be down the road with him.
Right.
Well, I think.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think, as far as undisputed, between Shannon and what's his face, they're always a little. They like that on that show. They're always probably an act because they've been on for a while, but it's like they almost, when they disagree, it's almost like they don't like each other. And of course, Chris would know because what's his name, Chris?
I think Skip.
Shannon and Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
Okay, there's Big B. There's a local sports radio here, 1310 The Ticket. Okay, and they've been around for 25 years, right? And they're really good. They're one of the best and the biggest in the countries. Well, Skip Bayless started with this station. Do you remember that, Chris?
I do, yeah.
He did, and he did not leave on good terms because he was a little bossy and a little arrogant, and he thought the Ticket was going to fail. Well, now the Ticket's huge. And Skip Bayless has gone on to do good stuff, but there's stories about his he's very gets under your skin kind of guy.
Yeah.
Good for a sports talk show,
Oh, exactly.
He's excellent at what he does. Sometimes I take what he says with a little grain of salt. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, he's right. So,
well,
but he likes to be controversial.
I mean, that's one thing with sports is, I mean, unless you're pulling out stats, I mean, when a topic's brought up, there's like no right or wrong answer. Going back to just the GOAT talk. There's not a right or wrong answer. It's all how you perceive it. So sports is always good for a good debate here and there. I mean,
when I think if you're listening or looking it up, and like you said, unless it's stats, I think you have to take everything with a little grain of salt. Like there's some truth to it. There's some false narratives to it. You just kind of have to figure out what you think is true.
Exactly.
There's some comments here from James Gonzalez. He's saying that Julio probably won't get the same numbers like he did with the Falcons that he'll produce. Offense in Tennessee should have a great balance attack. I mean,
yeah, James, you're right.
Well, yeah, he's not going to get the same numbers because there's more weapons there.
Yeah.
So
I think he'll come close. He'll have 90 catches, 1,200. Tannehill is not Matt Ryan, but Tannehill, he's a very good quarterback. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's on the next level. He's very good. As his career has shown, he's gotten better over time.
I mean, Derek, I would say he's probably, 70 to 90 catch ratio, 700 to 1,000 yards. I think what's going to go up is his touchdowns. I think his touchdowns outside the red zone because they're going to pound it in with Henry. So I think his touchdowns are going to go up. So, and you're right. Tannehill's not a Hall of Famer yet. Maybe gets him a ring, might put him in the Hall of Fame down the road.
He could be like Eli Manning, win 2 Super Bowls, and that puts you in the Hall of Fame automatically, even though you have a mediocre record and Tony Romo was way better.
Well, I think the one key that Eli will probably get into, the reason why he's getting the Hall of Fame, I think, is because he beat a Patriots team that was undefeated heading into that Super Bowl.
Yep.
That's going to be his.
You can't take it. I will always say you can't take it away from him. He earned it. Yeah. He had 2 great seasons, and they culminated in a Super Bowl. Give him the ring. He deserves it.
Right. Yep. So what about that other comment James had? Matt Ryan going to New England. I guess that would have worked out before the draft, but now I mean they got their quarterback of the future. Even though a lot of people are saying that he's not the guy, so I mean, if Atlanta does entertain ideas to trade him, where could we see Matt Ryan going?
Well, if Atlanta can pull a trade with the Patriots, I think that would be awesome for the young Alabama quarterback to sit under Matt Ryan for a year or two and learn. You know, because Matt Ryan is a very unselfish guy. He'll be in the Hall of Fame. He's got the numbers. He just doesn't. Should have had a Super Bowl, but you know. And you know,
he should have a Super Bowl.
But he's got the numbers, and he's not nicknamed Matty Ice for nothing. You know, he's very cool under pressure. He's healthy, still has the arm. You know, he could play till he's 40, 41 as well. You know,
I mean, I remember his rookie year, the first play he did, it was like I think it was to Julio. He threw like a, I don't know, 50, 60-yard pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's how he started.
Yeah, I mean, if Atlanta's going to entertain, you know, because we all know they're in a rebuild. You know, I mean, Miami might be a good idea. You know, to have them sit ahead of Tua there, or even I know a lot of talk's been with Denver lately, getting different quarterbacks there. So you know, Denver or Miami, I could see a fit there for a couple of years. You know, so
yeah. There's a few teams that he could be good at, a good fit for. You know, the Patriots, they do got their work cut out for them. The Broncos, like you said, are another team. Everybody always likes to throw in the 49ers in these conversations, but I'm like, you know, let's let Jimmy G be healthy for a year.
Right.
You know.
Well, and then who do they take
they took
third this year?
Trey Lance.
Yeah.
From North Dakota
so they got their quarterback go.
Yeah,
which I wish Minnesota would have moved on, but
already. So they probably wouldn't entertain that. I don't know, maybe the Vikings.
Let's not get started out there.
I mean, you got some good players on your team. How much longer you guys riding Cousins out?
God, hopefully this year. That's it. Hopefully, I think he's actually. I think he's got 2 years left though. But don't get me started on that because I think the Vikings made a mistake a few years ago with that one. So that's a whole other show that I could go on and rant on.
It's funny. At that time, I thought because Cousins was doing really well in Washington and he went to Minnesota, and I thought that was a problem solver for them, but he just hasn't produced for whatever reason.
Well, the thing is, you know, just to make it short here, for me, I mean, you're one game away from the Super Bowl with Case Keenum.
Case Keenum.
And and I don't know why. I mean, I get Zim's side of it that you don't know what quarterback you're going to get. You're going to get the Case that started for the Vikings, or you're going to get the journeyman. So I get that part. But for me, it's like he took you one game away from the Super Bowl. Why not re-sign him? And then, because he's going to come in for a cheap amount, and then in the same draft, you were 2 picks away from taking Lamar Jackson. So it's like, why wouldn't you have done that and then open up quarterback competition? It's Case's job to lose, and if he does bad, you got Lamar Jackson, because we all know what Lamar Jackson's done so far. So, not to get into a big deep into that, but that's my thinking. And it's not that I don't like Case; I just didn't like the contract. So
no, and I always wonder about something like that. A guy like Case Keenum, finally, after a few years in the NFL, he seems to find his rhythm. He was probably a good fit with that team. He brings you there. So why do you change your quarterback? I think it would have been better for them to roll with him and draft a young guy. You know,
exactly. That's my whole thinking.
He knows the system. He knows the players. You know,
Yep.
You know,
and that's what I was saying to a couple of Philly fans I know too, because they were, like, oh, what Wentz is our guy. Wentz is our guy. It's like, yeah, but who took you to the Super Bowl? Foles was your fit. Foles fit in there. Yeah, he went to Chicago and sucked. Case went to Denver and got to play in front of his idol on the team that he idolized. And didn't do so well. So, I mean, sometimes the guy might just be the perfect fit for that system. And Dirk, I'm with you. They should have gave him another year.
Okay, I got a question for you, Big B, and James kind of asked this. Do you think that Vikings need a running quarterback? Because that's what he's suggesting.
Oh, I think every team needs a running quarterback. I mean, that's the name of the game right now. I mean, you got Mahomes. I mean, unless you got like a guy like Rodgers or Brady that can make smart plays, each team needs a running quarterback. And they drafted the guy this year, Kellen Mond, who
A&M.
A lot of people are saying he's, they're not going to compare him to Pat Mahomes, but he's got some of the same traits that he does. And I was just listening on local radio here that Houston was going to take him 2 picks, or the next pick if the Vikings would have passed on him. So there was teams that are on him. So I've always loved the running quarterback, from Michael Vick, Cunningham to Lamar Jackson, to any guy that can scramble. I think it just brings another weapon to the game that you don't know if he's going to be running, if he's going to throw. The guy in Pittsburgh is the one I really liked back in the day. Cordell Stewart. They called him Slash.
Oh, yeah, Cordell Stewart.
The guy could do everything. Even the guy in what the Saints, Hill. He might not be the quickest guy, but you don't know if he's going to run. If he's got the ball, you don't know if he's going to run, he's going to throw it. If he's on the field, he's a threat. So, I think a lot of teams, not just the Vikings, need to get that running quarterback. I think it's just another aspect.
I'll give you a little info on Kellen, because he went to A&M down here, so we saw him a lot. And he was a senior this year. Every year he got noticeably better. He didn't level off every year. Freshman he played a little, then he had the team as a sophomore. Then every year he got better. He does have an NFL arm and he can run. And the other thing is he's a leader. Look what A&M was 1 game out of the college playoffs, and it was because of him. He's a leader,
Yeah,
and,
so he's going to sit behind. He's going to sit behind Cousins for sure this year. I mean, unless we're out of the playoffs halfway through the season, I don't think Bond's going to get any action this year unless it's a blowout type game. But I would predict that he's going to be the starter next season.
It could very well happen, and it would really benefit him to sit. That's the funny thing.
I think it benefits a lot of quarterbacks to sit. I mean,
when you draft, in the NFL now, you draft a guy in the first round, he has to start because of the money you're paying. They don't get that. Yeah, Mahomes.
Well, I think the only quarterback in the first. Right now, the only quarterback that's probably going to sit that got drafted in the first round is going to be what's his face from San Fran. Yeah, he's going to sit. I think all the other ones are going to be a starter.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And, look at Pat Mahomes' case. He sat behind Alex Smith for a year. Man, you want to pick a quarterback to sit behind a year? Alex Smith is the quarterback, because he knew how to play the game. He was the same draft as Aaron Rodgers. We all heard these stories. And, but he's a smart quarterback, and
Cousins, you could say the same thing for too. I mean, if you're going to sit behind a quarterback, Cousins wouldn't be a bad guy to sit behind.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience. If he's willing to expand and teach, give his stuff, his experience down, and he should, as an athlete and as a teammate, you should share. You're not going to play forever, but. Some guys are not good at that. Quarterbacks.
What's that, Chris?
I said Alex Smith basically sat behind 2 quarterbacks or something like that. I think he did it for Matt Castle when he was with Kansas City.
Yep.
And then he did it for Mahomes.
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, he had 2. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
I mean, just as long as you don't get the drama like the Packers have had, the last two quarterbacks that we are, the last two quarterbacks that they're, quarterback changes they're going to be making now. So, if you get that quarterback that understands that, yeah, he's out here forever, I mean, the quarterback behind him is going to take your spot. So,
all right. Another topic I was thinking was there's reports of Deshaun Watson going to Denver, and I know the Aaron Rodgers was talking or in talks with Denver or something like that. You think Watson will go to Denver, or will Rodgers potentially?
I think right now, Denver. If I'm Denver, I want Rodgers, and I'm not taking anything away from Watson until the troubles that he's going through are settled. We find out what the jury's out on that. With the Packers, though, I think they're playing a game of chicken right now to see who's going to make that turn first. Is it going to be Rodgers giving in, or is it going to be the Packers giving in? With Watson, I think right now Houston's stuck with him until everything's figured out. I think, if it was one or two cases, you probably get by, but it's 20-some cases.
21.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead, Kirk.
With that, he's got like 23 or 24 cases against, but it's by one lawyer. And this guy's kind of a crackpot. Years ago, he bought it. He lives in one of the richest neighborhoods in Houston. A number of years ago, he bought a tank and parked it in his front yard. And of course, it's against the whole HOA, and he did that. He ran for mayor. He's a lawyer. He's a scumbag kind of lawyer, doing this stuff. He's the only one that dug up all these people, and they're just asking for settlements, not really to go to trial.
Is he not holding back names too? Because don't the judge want
names?
They did put out there.
Yeah.
In order for the trial to go through, you had to come forward.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not saying Watson's innocent or guilty. I mean, I just think right now we got to figure out where this is going to go before. If I'm an owner, if I want Watson, I got to see where this is going to go before I make an offer to Houston. So, I think Houston's kind of dead in the water right now with that.
Yeah, it's just so weird. In the years he's played, you never heard a peep. Good guy, good teammate.
Oh, exactly. That's the whole thing.
And then all of a sudden,
that's my thing is, on other shows that I've been on, we brought this up. Why wait until a year or two after this has happened to bring something up? So, are you in it for the money, or is this lawyer trying to get something out of the deal? I know there was talk that the Houston's owner was kind of behind this, so he wouldn't get traded. So I mean, to me, if somebody does something to me that I don't like, I'm going to go right away to their boss or whatever and get it fixed. I'm not going to wait a year or two and be like, oh yeah, he did the same thing to me. So, like I said, we just got to wait to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, it's just an odd deal, and I'm not normally a conspiracy theorist, but I'll bet there is something going on here that's not right.
Exactly. Somebody's in it for something.
Deshaun might be totally innocent. Is it posturing? Is it the owner's idea to make him stay because nobody will give them a trade for him? Because of because whatever team takes him on, whether this is true or false, they're going to have to take on the baggage, Well,
but I mean, even before everything came out, you can't tell me a team wasn't going to give up Stafford type offer like the Rams got or Detroit got for Stafford. I think he would have got more. I mean, I don't know why you would have, make up these false allegations, so thinking nobody's going to give you. I know a lot of teams probably would have gave up 3 first rounds, a couple seconds. I mean, he could have got next to a Herschel Walker type deal, I think.
Yeah.
You got to let Herschel go, dude.
It was a mega.
It's
like
been 21 years.
It was a mega trade back then, and that was when I think free agency and all that.
Oh, yeah, that was just, I mean,
You'll never, ever see a trade again like that.
Oh, you'll never see 11 for 1, type of trade again. I mean, yeah, but yeah, that's another topic for another day.
We can name a show after it.
There you go.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Now there's talks. There's also talks of playing. I know we have the international series, but there's also talks of games maybe being played in Germany.
Yeah, I heard that the other day. I mean,
well, if the NFL is going to expand, there is a market out there, okay? You remember a couple of years ago, we had the European Football League or something like that.
Yep.
And some NFL guys came, got in the NFL. Troy Aikman even broadcast a game or two at the start of that, And there is a market, for one, you got all the American GIs over there, so they'll pack out the stadiums all by themselves.
Oh, yeah.
But as somebody that's lived in Europe for a couple of years, they are fascinated with American football, and there could easily be, and it would make it a little more palatable for the NFL if you had a London team, a Munich or Berlin team. The French, that they may have a team, but they'll suck, quit, and go home. And and Spain or Italy, or something, or maybe you have two teams in Germany, Frankfurt, Berlin, like that, and then you have several teams over there. So if a team went over there, they would go on a swing, and the jet lag and all that stuff wouldn't affect them so much. Maybe piggyback it with buys, and then they go over there for 3 weeks, play 3 games, come back and have a bye to get back to normal, because it's really not that far from flying Miami to Seattle, what's it, 4,000 miles instead of 3,000, and when you're there, you're there. It is time away from the players' families, but they make them millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're gonna go overseas, I mean, Dirk, I think you hit it on the head that, you're going to have a couple teams over there, Italy, Germany, maybe each have a team to start off with, and then, send a couple American teams over there to, 2 weeks. They play each other like a round robin, and then all 4 teams come back for a couple weeks, and then those 2 overseas teams play for a couple weeks and then fly back.
That's a good idea as well, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Gordell wants a division over there. I mean, I think he's came out and said it, that he wants some kind of division over there. He definitely wants a team in London. So we all know that
4 teams, I think, and so it'd be getting an owner on board 4 times. I think there's a couple of owners or a couple of people that would own a team over there and have the money to spend and do free agency, and I don't know how much pushback on guys would be to living overseas for half the year. I mean, it's an incredible experience, and you still have your home here. You could fly home on the bye week and stuff, and it's a lot more fun than being in a military station overseas. Which is usually a good time anyway, but you got that.
James is requesting that there should be no more international games.
Okay, James, thanks for that. And you are James Gonzalez, which makes me think of Mexico City, because every time the Cowboys play there, it's packed out. James, what do you think about a team in Mexico City if you're still on?
Well, I mean, what you could do is do like what baseball does for minor league, is you can have that be like a minor league squad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think Goodell. I mean, Goodell definitely wants to expand out. I mean, Dirk, you brought up Mexico City. Yeah, they sell out all the time. I mean, you go across the
Vaqueros de
waters over
Dallas.
there. Yeah, I mean, you go across the water. Yeah, the games start at
8
7 o'clock high time in the
Yeah,
Central.
that's
So yeah,
another
it's.
thing.
I mean, so if you're a fan of a team that's playing at 7 o'clock a.m., you're not drinking much, or you're drinking all night, I guess, if you're watching football. So
You're at the
I
end
mean,
of
it's
the
hard.
night.
It's hard to get the parties going at 7 a.m. So I mean, I get his point on that, but I think it's coming. I don't think it's going to be within the next 5 years, maybe 10. But again, who knows? Gurnell wants to do what he wants to do, and if he gets the owners behind it, I mean, it's going to happen. So we'll see where it goes.
It'll take one owner to take the first step. Now we're already playing twice a
In
year
Vegas.
in London, right?
Yep.
And
Actually, I think it's 4 times, ain't it? No.
is it 4?
Well, yeah.
They're expanding it. Yeah.
Well, 3 times in London, 3 or 4 games, and then 1 in Mexico City.
Yeah, something like that. It's 4 international games, yeah. And
Yeah.
Jacksonville, drew the short end of the stick on most of that. So they seem like they're
And-
Jackson, London Jaguars sometimes. So
You can also throw in Canada when the Buffalo Bills played their preseason games up there.
if it wasn't for the history of Buffalo, I'm surprised they have not moved into Canada.
I mean, they do have the CFL.
Mhm.
They know.
Yeah.
That's what Canada has. So
Mhm.
and they do pretty well at that. It's a different game.
It is
It's a different game from what yardage wise, ain't it? I mean, they did 100.
Yeah, it's 120
100
yards long, and they get 3 downs instead of 4. But
okay, I didn't know that much.
Wide receivers are allowed to be in motion toward the line of scrimmage and stuff like that. There's a couple of little minor rule changes, but you would think with 3 downs they don't do much, but they do get tons of yardage. It doesn't. I think it's mostly anyway. 3rd down, they're going for it every time almost. Because of the length of the field.
Yeah.
But
so what is it? 3 downs and you got to punt then after, or
basically,
or is it just 3 downs?
It's 3 downs. It's just like 4 downs. On the 3rd down, you're going for it. You're punting. But
okay. 3rd down, basically your 4th down.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, I gotcha.
And one of their teams, they kind of had like a Washington situation where they had to rename their team. They renamed it from the Edmonton Eskimos to the Elks. Yeah.
Yeah, Edmonton. Was it the Eskimos?
Eskimos, and then they renamed it.
That's what they are. What's wrong with that?
That's what I thought. I don't know.
So speaking of the name change, has Washington ever come up with the name, or kind of went in the back burner that I've heard?
I've heard rumors of like Wolfpack or Red Wolves or something like that. For right now, they're going to stick with football team, and they may stick with that. They're not sure yet, but
they could go with Washington Football Club.
I heard the football club.
Yeah.
Well, I think we just throw it out there, being part of the Coast to Coast here, and call them Washington Coast to Coast Network. I mean, what do you guys think?
I like that idea.
So what do you guys think of Aaron Rodgers' continued? Do you think he's going to sit out the whole? He's already missing it. He's pocketbook it. Don't hurt him.
No.
I think he'll continue to sit out just to make his point, and then he'll show up. I really don't. I can't see him going to Denver or somewhere else. I just.
Yeah, but we said the same thing about Favre.
If he's going to go somewhere, he's going to go to a team that has a legit shot.
Yeah,
but Denver's not there.
But Rodgers isn't doing like Favre and saying, "Oh, they did me wrong. I'm going to go to an NFC North team. I'm going to pick any team besides the Packers."
Well, yeah, I mean Rodgers. I mean Favre targeted the Vikings, and that's why he ended up in New York because they knew he was going to go to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Rodgers. I mean, I think the Packers could have made it right if they would have went out and got him Julio Jones, just for instance.
Oh yeah.
Or at least try.
I mean, most of us play sports, and we don't want to sit out our sports. We don't want to hurt the team, So I don't know. I don't see Rodgers sitting out all year. Like Dirk said, probably all of OTAs and then show up for preseason. But then again, what's that say about Rodgers' character and what's it going to be like? I mean, I know the team's going to say they back him 100%.
Well, he said, he says he loves his teammates. He loves the coaching staff. It's the front office. It's the GM that he doesn't like, And I've said this before. I'm like, okay, you're on the field. Even if he's standing on the sidelines 50 yards away from you, you're not talking to him. Why does he bother you so much,
I mean, we've all had bosses we don't like to work for. I mean,
right.
I mean, I can count on my left hand here, how many bosses I've really enjoyed working for and wanted to do my best. I mean, you're paid to do a job. I mean, go out and do it. You don't like the moves they're making. I mean, find a new job, I guess, but you're under contract right now. So,
but if I was Rodgers and, the Packers aren't finding anyone, or not signing anyone, I would just say, like, look, at least try.
Yeah.
If you can't sign him, you can't sign him, but at least try to sign someone.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, he's got 2 years left on his contract?
I think so.
I think it's in there somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said before, I mean, both sides are playing the game of chicken. You're coming at each other. Which one's going to blink first and make a move? So. Yeah. I mean, the owners are in control right now because he's under contract. He doesn't play. In the long run, they're probably not going. If he sits out all year, they're probably not going to get what they could get for him right now. But again, I know a lot of Packer fans. I mean, there's been a lot of reports that Packer fans are like split, keep him or let him go. So they've seen this. They've seen this play out before 16 years ago. So.
Yeah.
but it kind of feels like what Seattle did this year. Russell Wilson wanted to trade.
Well,
he didn't.
Did you see on the news the other day? He was on and he said, "I absolutely did not request a trade."
Yeah.
He said,
that came out from
conjecture. Because what they did, they asked him if he didn't play for the Seahawks, who would he play for? And he gave him, you're just asking a question. And of course, everybody took it and ran with it. He wants to play for the Cowboys,
right.
And then it turned into he wants to be traded. It snowballed like crazy. But I knew what he said the first time I read it. I said, he's not going to leave Seattle. He's in the best position he can be,
Well, exactly. Right. He's got probably, the top two. He's probably got the best combo of receivers right now in the league. I mean, with the two that he's got.
They're Super
you
Bowl
give him a solid running back. You give him a solid running back. I mean, Seattle's going to be dangerous, and Wilson can still move. I mean, I didn't believe Seattle. I didn't believe Seattle was going to trade him. I didn't believe. I mean, you want to win. Don't get me wrong. So I mean,
right.
If he did come out and say he wants to go somewhere, he was going to go to a contender, which most contenders right now have a quarterback. So there was no point in moving him.
But I mean, too, it was like what we talked about on Sports Minute. Getting comments or when you talk to the media, getting it twisted because he was just asked if you weren't here, who would you play for? He gave out names, and then they're like, Russell Wilson wants to be traded to this team. No, that's not what.
I mean, like James just commented, it was probably Russell Wilson's camp that kind of threw it out there that he wanted to be Wilson traded.
Camp probably asked for a trade. Yeah. I could see that.
Well, sports teams are always looking, and they're always putting feelers out there. And they'll always ask like MLB is the best example. Before they put players on the waiver wire, right?
Yep.
Just to see who will pick them, and then they pull them off. The Mets, when Mike Piazza was still awesome and 32 years old, the Mets put him on their waiver wire, because maybe somebody will come up and make a stupid trade, and they do that every year. I bet you Mike Trout's on the waiver wire every year,
Yeah.
I mean, there's reports here that, I know we're football talk, but Twins used to do that all the time. They would throw everybody on the waiver wire except for, guys they know they couldn't get. And just like Dirk said, to see who they are going to get. I mean, there's probably how many scouts per team at each of these games coming up here within the next month, because the trade deadline's coming up. So they want to get a first-hand look at some of these guys, and, especially the teams that are going to be out of it soon. So, but everybody puts out feelers, and, everybody's looking. The phone's ringing. If you ain't answering it, that's your fault, because,
But I think, too, out of all of the players, I think Richard Sherman's the only one that he negotiates his own contract and whatever. He doesn't
There's
have
probably several guys that do that, that are smart enough to do it.
But I think Sherman. I think Sherman is the one that everybody knows of for sure.
Yeah, that came out publicly.
I mean, that's why you hire agents to let them do it, so you can focus on your playing. So
yeah.
But I think after a few years of playing, you kind of get rid of the agent, in my opinion, because you've kind of learned the system, how it goes, the process.
Yeah, but the agent, I think, has some kind of law background or something, so they can read all the fine print and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
they're almost always lawyers.
Yeah, you keep them in the back pocket, but I mean, some of these guys have. The agent, then the money guy, then, publicists, and, they got like 4 or 5 guys working for them, to work all the deals and stuff. It's not just the agent anymore. So,
yeah.
What do you guys think of there's talks of expanding the college football playoff?
Awesome.
I don't know when, but I think going to 8 teams instead of 4.
I just heard it last night after work. It was going to be 12. It was going to be 6. It's going to be up to 12. So the first step might be 8, then the next step might be 12. But what they were talking about last night on sports that I was listening to was going to be top 6 ranked conference winners, and then it was going to be the next 6 ranked teams to be the wild card, which, if you're going to, I don't know why. There's 10? Is there 10 big conferences that combine for the championship?
Yeah, there's 5.
You got the Power 5 and then teams like Notre Dame and stuff that are independent. But
there's only
like 10 conferences. There's like 10 conferences in the independent.
Okay, so 10 conference champions can vie for the national championship. So I don't know why you wouldn't put those champions in the playoff bracket and then 2 wild cards. Overall, we got to make Notre Dame decide what conference they want to be in, because they shouldn't automatically get this. They should automatically get that bid in just because they're ranked in the top 5.
I'll tell you one reason why. Money.
Oh no! You didn't have to tell me that. I knew that, but I just think that if I'm on a national or a division championship team and I can't buy for the national title, then what's the point of having this team around? I mean, you should do what the NFL does. Each division winner is in the playoffs, and then a couple wild cards.
Yeah. Well, the big thing was, though, that the college playoff committee jumped on it right away, which kind of makes me think we should have came up with this a couple of years ago and we'd be ahead of the game, because I always thought 4 games wasn't enough. At least 8, 12 would be great. If they go to 16, awesome. Hey, what's wrong with that? It's more money for college football. They rotate the championship game between the different bowls, provided their stadiums are big enough, which will probably make some places do a little money and throw in there, And you get 16 teams, that's 4 weeks of playoffs, right?
Yeah.
The one thing I want them to do, and this will be my last comment because I gotta get into work. The one thing I wish they would do for this playoff system is make it not each game's a bowl game, make it an overall, like this year will be the Rose Bowl against the championship game, so it's the tournament to the Rose Bowl. Just make the whole playoff system the Rose Bowl. Because we got too many bowl games as there is.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna make each playoff game a bowl game, so that's gonna open up more bowl games. So
like the Rose Bowl
being said,
championship series or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, still make it, Rose Bowl 1 year, Orange Bowl, Cotton Bowl, make it, each year is a different bowl game so they get money. But I just want to touch on James's last comment there first before I go. I agree. Notre Dame should be in the Big Ten. I don't think there's any other division that they should be in. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to check you guys later. I got to get to work. Enjoy the rest of the show, guys.
TGIF. All right.
No, I mean,
yeah.
Weren't they playing in the ACC last year?
I believe so. Yeah, they should be in the Big Ten or the ACC. That's where they geographically fit. But really, to counterbalance that, look at the Big 12. We got, West Virginia in the Big 12, and most of the Big 12 is around Texas, so because of air travel and jets and it's so convenient, they're starting to spread. I think they should, though, this is going a little off topic with the playoff thing, but for conferences, regionalize it, So how can somebody in Texas be a Big 12 or a West Virginia fan, because in the conference you want. Now, if your kid goes there, yes, you're going to be, but there's, maybe if Alabama or Louisiana, Oklahoma or New Mexico, combine in here and pick them teams. But as none of the SEC teams are going to want to leave because that's NFL B.
You can find a way to, and I'm not sure how, but like you said, regionalize it. You could, take out the conferences you got now and just go like the South region. And that could be like your Texas schools, your Louisiana. I don't know who else, but do it like that and just divide it.
Well, years ago, in the 80s and 90s, it was like that. The old Southwest Conference, which I kind of grew up in when I first moved to Texas here. It was Rice, Houston, SMU,
Texas,
Texas, A&M, and a couple other schools. It was all regional, and really every game was an exciting game because you were, joshing with your neighbor,
right.
You went to that school, you went to that school. Now, because of TV, it's easy to follow any team, but still, I don't know how many West Virginia fans are here in Texas, or how many Texas teams fans, UT fans, Tech fans are in West Virginia, and they've had their natural rivalries for years, Virginia and stuff, and probably Carolina schools, Clemson, Georgia, they should all be out there, but I don't know.
Right.
They don't talk about that too much, really, though, from when I listen to the sports shows and the talk shows. It comes up sometimes, but it's mostly old farts like me,
Now, do you like the old like BCS or like ranking system, or do you like the playoff?
I think the playoff system is good. The coaches poll is good. And then when it comes time for it to be officially the playoff system, I think it works. I think it's good. There's never going to be a perfect system. A&M got the short end of the stick. If A&M had played in place of Notre Dame, who knows? But there's always going to be the overall favorite that's going to get a little juice on their one side. But I just, in sports, I hate everything to be decided by a computer. I want human element in it. You know what I mean? Sports is a game of humans playing a human game. Right. Everything doesn't have to be exact by a computer, and in my opinion, this is brought on over the last 20 some years by the fantasy people, because they're all about stats, not actual playing. You may get a great player on your team, say he runs for 500 yards, a year, and he catches 40 passes. He's a valuable player on your team, but fantasy-wise, he's not good.
No.
But you want that guy on your team? Heck yes, you want that guy on your team. He blocks good. All these fantasy points don't take that into consideration.
No.
You got to, it's just stats, and they go by that. So they want to make sure that a blade of grass covered in white is out of bounds when the whole foot is in green, except for the one blade of grass.
Right. Yeah.
To me, if they call it, that's so close, and it all evens out, in my opinion, at the end. You get one call, the other way. And then when you look at it, though, the officials do a really good job at calling the right plays. To me, you're wasting time on these scoring play. Yes, something like that, but. 9% out. Let the officials make the call whether they want help with that call. If one official called it this, the other one said that, then say, hey, we're going to review it, without you having to waste time. We're going to make it right, Then do it, on scoring plays, that kind of thing, review it, when it's very important, not when it's, was he out of bounds 2 yards down the field? Stop wasting time.
I think there should be some kind of collective criteria, and then if you're unsure or there's a tie or something to break it, then you can use a computer if you have to break it. But collectively, you should have some kind of criteria. These are the steps we need to go through, collectively, we all agree upon it. Because at the moment, it's based on the individual's criteria of what they're looking for.
Yeah. So, anyway, what else we got today?
One more topic we have is kind of remembering Jim Fossil. He sadly passed from a heart attack, I think on the 7th. And
kind of young, 71.
Yeah. And he was the Giants head coach for 98 to somewhere in the 90s to 2003. He went to
a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he went to a Super Bowl. I think the Ravens won that one, but I mean, they came close. They won a Super Bowl, or they came close to winning a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think a few years after he left from the NFL, he played in the coached in the United Football League.
Yeah.
Where he won 2 championships. So, I mean, he was a good coach. He was also a defensive coordinator for like the Ravens and a few other teams
Hmm.
after he was a head coach. So he was around in the league, and he was still around the league for a little bit, and sadly he passed.
I believe his son was a Cowboys defensive coach assistant or something too. He made a comment this week. I want to say it was the Cowboys, maybe another team.
Maybe. James said that Fossil seemed like he was a player's coach.
Absolutely.
Was he?
Yeah, I remember he was really well liked. He wasn't hard like Parcells, even though the players loved Parcells, and he didn't look like he was always yelling at you and stuff like that, like some other coaches. He was pretty calm and collected on the sidelines. I remember him playing. He was always a good coach. The Giants had good teams with him. They liked him. He was at the beginning of Eli's career. They were good. He took over from Parcells and just kept it going.
And then I think after him, it was Coughlin.
That's who I was thinking of. Yeah. Coughlin, to me, he looked like a angry old man all the time.
He did, and I remember
he looks
that
20 years older than he was.
And I think that year they went to the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl. He's like, I'm going to have to calm down. Because he knew about his temper. He's like, I'm going to have to try to calm down, not get so tempered. And I think it worked. I mean, they won a Super Bowl, so.
Yeah. He's also a good coach. Not sure what he's doing now. He's got to be 85 or something like that, if he's alive.
I think he's working the competition committee.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean,
him and Jerry probably go out and have a drink once in a while.
I'm sure. I'm sure after they negotiate. James is saying that his son was a special.
That's what it was. Okay. Thanks, James.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the name sounded familiar. Now that I know that. He was a good special teams coach.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
well, that's it, everybody, for today's show. Dirk, anything you want to say before we close out?
Nope. Can't wait for training camp to open up so we have some real meat to talk about.
Yeah.
I think it would be a good idea if we keep getting guest players on here.
Right.
We got to keep it going. I'll just good Friday afternoon, TGIF, everybody. I don't say that much anymore because I'm retired. So, haha. Every day is Saturday to me.
There you go.
So, right. Cowboy up.
Tonight we're gonna have round table. I don't know who's gonna be on, but we're gonna have that, and then Four Bros tonight, probably around 11 Central. I'm trying to figure out a time, but it'll probably be around there. Derek will be on for on deck on Tuesday. Big B, who is here, he'll be on deck as well, and he'll be around different shows, throughout the week.
Usually we're 8 p.m. Central on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
We try to be.
And then Big B will be on Sportsman and on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here, and then I'll be on Sportsman at Saturday probably. It just depends. So everybody gets around. So that is today's show. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next week for another edition of the Diehard Football Podcast. Have a great Friday and a great weekend.